What's up, everybody? How's it going? I'm Brad Dollar, producer, engineer, and coach. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing great. Now, it's no secret that when it comes to producing and engineering music, there's a lot to keep organized. At any given moment after a song is born, there's a ton of stuff to do to get a song to come to life. Arranging, more writing, playing it, recording it, mixing it, mastering it, and honestly, that's just scratching the surface. And every single one of those tasks has its own subset of tasks and deliverables. Could be 1 or 2, could be 10 or 20, just depends on how granular you're getting with it. So now that I've reminded you of the mental spaghetti you may be escaping with your own music, let's talk about some ways that we can actually approach this problem and deal with the mental gymnastics around getting to a finished product with your music. But before we get started, if you can do me a huge favor and smash the like button and subscribe button, it would let the YouTube algorithm know about my little channel and bring this information to more people just like yourself. It seriously means a lot, it helps a ton, and I thank you for doing it. So without further ado, let's keep going. First and foremost, what's needed is a willingness to get organized. Half of the battle of finishing music is remaining consistent in your steps to get to that finish line. It'll take some serious foresight on your end and for you to deeply envision what you want at the finish line of the song being done. You know, like what it sounds like, what instrumentation is in the song, the dynamics, the feel, the musicians, the location to record it, the time of year you want to do it, etc., etc. This is for sure a mountain, but the first step towards climbing it is to look up and see where you want to head in the first place. Beyond the willingness to get organized, the biggest problem that I'm always looking at and watching other producers and engineers deal with is simply keeping track of the to-do list itself. Each song, what it needs, what others involved think it needs, the little sparks of we should add this that come along the way, as well as the general order of operations, like deciding what to lay down first. Is it drums and bass for this song, or guitar and vocals? Maybe just keyboards. This is also the time and space to list out some of those subtasks of each task, which I find will help you get a greater sense of the overall vision and really understand all of the granular pieces that will come together to help you get to that finish line. Things like editing, tuning, pre-mixing, bouncing, archiving, all of these steps must be repeated for each song, and sometimes all over again for the entirety of the project, like an EP or an album. So you can quickly see that there's a lot here to keep track of and still stay focused on making great music. Lucky for us though, along the path somewhere, somebody figured out a way to keep track of these tasks really easily and in a way that informs the creative process in a meaningful way. Enter the song progress tracking chart. Now, if you're thinking that this looks just like a kid's behavioral chart where you put the little stickers on it, keep track of how well behaved someone is, well, you wouldn't be that far off. Because honestly, it's kind of the same thing. It's hard to say when people officially started using these in studio sessions, but the earliest ones that I've seen online are from Beatles sessions and other Abbey Road sessions that happened in the 60s. Now, if the Beatles were using this, there's a pretty good chance that Abbey Road was probably just deploying industry standard practices, which means that the idea of tracking song progress could go all the way back to the beginning of recorded music. Now, I'm not sure, I'm no music historian and it's just a hunch, but what I can tell you is that they aren't new, and since those days of the Beatles, they've shown up in every genre of music, every workflow, and process ever since. From ABBA to U2, Metallica to the Foo Fighters, Taylor Swift, and Drake. Producers all over the world across time and space lean on this simple tool to keep precious brain space available for more useful tasks. So now let's talk about what goes into a song progress chart and how to make them. It's important to know that as you're making your own charts, both the one you try making after this video and any future charts, there are no rules as to what has to be on them. In fact, each project you work on will most likely require its own chart that takes into account the different instruments and variables that are in each of the songs. Now, don't get me wrong, you'll be able to create a template that you can build off of for each project, so you're not just recreating this chart every single time, but more than likely, every song will need its own custom chart. Which honestly is fun for the artist. They get to customize it as they go, doodle on it, and just have a blast with it. A song progress tracking chart is way less of like a report card and way more of a map that's filled with adventure that helps both you and the artist follow along as each song is born. So this has been to be a very fun tool and something that makes each stage of the recording process a little more enjoyable. As far as what goes into one of these charts, it's really simple. There's just two axes, X and Y, with one axis representing the songs and the other representing the tasks to be completed. First step is to draw yourself an X and a Y axis. Now you can do this in any way that you want and in any size that you want. You can do it in a notebook, you can do it on a giant piece of paper or a big poster board, or even a dry erase board, which is what I tend to prefer. You can also get real fancy and make yourself a spreadsheet, which can be really nice for long-term storage and communicating tasks and things across different team members that might not be in the same physical location as you. On the horizontal axis, the x-axis, we want to list out all of the instrumentation that the project is going to have. Drums, bass, guitars, keyboards, vocals, all the things that come to mind first, go ahead and put those on there right away. But also list out things that are a little more open-ended, like effects pass, or percussion, or chaos, or my personal favorite, miscellaneous. Then on the vertical axis, the y-axis, create a little box for every song that's going to be on the project. If you're not sure what songs you're going to do yet, just go ahead and create blank spaces to capture those ideas and song decisions as you make them. Already what you've just done in and of itself is a great way to keep focus on all the different elements of the project that you really want to see come to fruition when you're recording. Seriously, this will save you a ton of time instead of just constantly dancing around in your head with all the different ideas and visions you may have for the song itself. And now as you decide what songs and what parts you want to add, you have a great vessel to capture all of that and keep track of if you've done it or not. And on a personal note, I really like just creating the song list on these charts, because at that point it goes from just being a rough idea somewhere to being something you're actually considering creating, which can mean the difference between some random demo falling to the wayside and it becoming a great song that actually becomes part of who you are and your repertoire. At this step, the only thing left to do is use the dang thing. Lucky for you, and I truly hope for you, that the sheer joy of doing this task, of tracking the song's progress and all the little elements, will keep you focused on the song itself and bring you some happiness while you're using the chart. Seriously, at some points of making a record, the best thing, the most rewarding thing is going up to that progress chart and checking off a box. It can be one of the biggest morale boosters for anybody involved in the process to really feel like we're moving forward and we're accomplishing something, because as soon as you start going to the studio and making some music, it's a long time before that song is out and being enjoyed by people. It's a long time to wait to really get any validation, even from yourself, about how the process is going. So the earlier you can inject those feelings into the process of momentum, of moving the ball forward, it will relieve a lot of anxiety and stress, and honestly open you up to more creative ideas, which could add some more boxes to your chart, but will help you make the best music you possibly can. This awareness of progress in the studio is a very important feeling, yet it can be really hard to know how far you've come, let alone how far you still need to go. This unknowing, I think, is the most deadly thing to progress, is the most deadly thing to a song, keeping its life and its energy, but still getting refined and growing to be the best version of itself. It's for this reason more than anything else that I love song trackers. They are an excellent morale booster and honestly keep everyone in the process feeling very excited and like the finish line is maybe far away or close, but at its essence, there's a finish line period. And I think sometimes when we get ideas for songs and we start making something, it kind of feels like, well, when is it ever going to be done? When is it ever going to become something? When should I put it out? Having a simple way to track how far something's come alleviates a lot of that stress and anxiety and gets your head back in the game, focused on the music itself instead of all of the mental gymnastics that are tangled up with trying to get a song out of your head and heart and into the world coming through speakers. So I love song progress tracking charts for this simple reason. And it's not just us as music creators that benefit from tracking the progress of our projects. This mechanism of measuring progress can help you at any place in your life, regardless of your industry or your job or the project you're working on or your circumstances. This rang especially true for me when I read the book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. In that book, the authors discussed that progress tracking is the single biggest influencer as to whether or not a project or goal will be successful or met. No one knows if they're winning if no one's keeping score, they so often mention. And they're right, especially as you get towards the end of a project and you can't tell if you're almost done or you're just trying to be done because you're tired of the process, which can leave a lot on the table and quite frankly leave your music and any of your projects feeling a little unfinished. Tracking progress is a reminder of not just how far you have to go, but how far you've come. And if you pull energy from that, I promise you that your finished product will resonate with that same passion and energy that cause you to even want to channel the notes and words through your body into the world in the first place. So I highly encourage you to give song progress tracking charts a shot. find your own way of doing it, and in the process, you may discover your own way of doing it, which changes the entire way that you produce and create music. Well, that's what I got for you for now. I hope this was helpful and that it makes its way into your own workflow and your own process. Once you give it a shot, be sure to drop a comment and let me know how it worked for you, or if you have your own ways of tracking progress and keeping everything straight in your head as you're making music, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you and learn from you as well if you've got some great ideas that have popped up for you along the way. And definitely let me know if you have any other questions about recording and keeping a healthy mental flow while you're making music. Please like, please subscribe. You can follow me at Brad K. Dollar on social, and stick around on this channel because we're about to have a great new year and make a lot of great content together that will really help you along your path as an artist, producer, engineer, creator, and human. So until next time, thanks so much for being here. I'll see you soon.